It doesn't work like that.
Tom, let's wait for Bishop. I know he was,
We're in the military. Unified command, and all that has to shoot up to 1. Not 5 or 10. Or 17.
Or 17, right.
Here, Tab.
But I don't think they're going to reduce the number.
I was...
Yeah, it's just number of legislators and members. 17 is just so...
Oh, wait, it goes back 10 years.
Some type of concept of people to grasp. How are you, Tom? Long time no see.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Somebody coming here from the show? You have somebody coming here?
Chris and I are actually. I'm sorry I couldn't get together with you, by the way.
Did I?
I appreciate your
email circulated.
That was like 2 months
Turned down.
Frank, can you do me a favor? Just remind Bishop that we have a meeting at 6 o'clock. Yes, please.
I heard the name actually. Oh, Richard told me that he passed away. Yeah.
Very
Probably.
They gave him an award last year.
There we go. All right.
All right, the Rye Town Park Commission meeting, August 21st, is now in session.
Very good. Folks, please stand with me and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, thank you, Bishop. Roll call.
Okay. We have Commissioner French.
Here.
Commissioner Pilla.
Here.
Commissioner Feinstein.
Here.
Commissioner Salanitro.
Here.
Commissioner Sach, absent. And Commissioner Carvin is represented by Deputy Supervisor Villanova.
Very good. We have the Pledge of Allegiance is taken care of already. And now the approval of minutes for the June 19th and July 17th meeting. Would it be the board's pleasure to approve both of those together?
With some minor typos,
Okay. I wasn't here last month, so...
All right, very good.
non-substantive.
Okay.
Well, you have the typos when you're here too, Bishop.
Oh, is that it?
Spell checks. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
All right, we have a second?
Second.
Very good. The Bishop, please
All right.
call the roll.
Okay.
Is that how you
All
do
in
it?
favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Expedite
there you
that.
go.
Okay, very good. Comments from the public. Anybody?
Good evening, Goldie.
Good evening, sir.
Good to see you again.
Okay, I think it's better now. Can you hear?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to tell you something. I love the concerts in the park at Rye Town Park. We don't have enough of them, I don't think. Thank God for Bill, who heads the Rye Town Park Commission. He lets me hand out agendas or programs, whatever it is, that they have. The concerts are incredible. Some of them, we don't have enough room for them. Some of them are standing room only. They're wonderful. People come from all over to hear those concerts in the park. It's incredible. And thank God for the Rye Town Park Commission and Bill, who puts them into effect. I want to remind you also that since I'm a music lover, and there aren't any more Rye Town concerts, tomorrow at the Marina we're going to have a concert, and we have another one coming up on Wednesday nights at 5:45 or 6 o'clock. Tomorrow night is Carlos Jimenez and the Mamba Band. Everybody brings a chair because at Rye Town Park they have the chairs and they give them out. They're wonderful. But here at the Marina we have to bring our own chairs for those concerts. And the following Wednesday we'll have another concert. However, we also have this Saturday at Lion Park, we have Porchester Day. And there's going to be concerts, there's going to be music, there's going to be everything for the children, for the adults, for everything, from 11 a.m. in the morning until 9. And thank God for Dominic Nerai. Nerais is doing Grucci fireworks at 9 o'clock. So it's going to be an incredible time. I want you to be aware of that, because what you do, as far as the people are concerned, is great, and music is key. Without music, we're dead. And thank God for music at Wright Town Park, because that's the way it should be. And thank God for music at Crawford Park and music at our marina or at Lyon Park. Music is key, so we need more concerts at Wright Town Park, because a lot of people come and they love it. They come off the beach, they come in cars, they come from all over. And it's wonderful there. So I'm glad when we have concerts at the park. And remember, at Crawford Park, we had that wonderful band put together by all ages. It was an all-age band, and it was incredible, from the elderly people down to the children. It was a wonderful thing. And who was head of it? Carol Breakwood. She did it. But that's what it's all about. So please, as government officials, take care of what the people need. And the people love to be uplifted with music.
So
And
do the
that's
government
what it
officials,
does.
Goldie.
It uplifts us.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any other comments from the public? Okay, thank you. And management reports. Mr. Gioffre.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Supervisor. It's a little tight, but as far as the numbers go, I'm going to defer to Bishop, who's a lot more familiar with these numbers. He works every day on them, even though we discussed them enough. I'm not familiar with the latest numbers, but he is. So, Bishop?
We're starting with numbers?
Well, no, Bishop...
Why don't we start with the
yeah.
management
Yeah.
report?
Just
All right, we could
give
do
your
that.
report, and then we'll have Bishop give us the breakdown.
Okay, due to some bad weather, we had to put off some assignments that we had, but we're beginning to complete them. They were delayed for a short time, so we're basically repairing some of the cement areas that are chipping away. It's a big job, and we have two very capable employees that have been repairing the stanchions along the wall, the stucco on the walls. We worked on the pavilions. Most of the west side of the area was completed. Now, if you look at the front of the administration building, and up to a certain point, it looks brand new. We can't reach the upper parts of it unless we either rent a scaffolding or some bucket to get people up there. But in my opinion, it's well worth it, and we should possibly think about doing that next year, or even toward the end of the summer. The Pond Lake Company...
Before we go any further, Mr. Gioffre, what I'd suggest then, if it's okay with the board, is to provide the cost for that project. Okay, so the cost for the repair...
Little budget.
Right? Cost for the repair. and
did
then-
we do any research on that?
No, but
Renting-
I have 3 connections, like Net Rentals and a few other places.
Renting a
I can call
bucket.
and get a price.
Find out what you need, and then obviously reach out to maybe some of the other municipalities in the area. Maybe there's something that they have, or an asset that they have that could be used.
Playland
Right,
has them,
Park.
and I'm sure Rye might have them.
There you
Now,
go. So
we might run into a problem with insurance.
take an opportunity to exhaust all possibilities, and then report back to us.
Okay, that
Thank
sounds good, Bill. This Pond Lake Company has been a great advisor for our pond. They've been there at least 4 times, and they've treated the pond. For most of the summer, we've had a clear pond. It was just a couple of weeks that we had some algae growing in there, and the Friends of Wright Town Park helped our staff in raking out some of the algae that was on top of the water. But right now, the water's clear, and the lake looks great. One of the provisions that the Wright Town Friends of Wright Town Park, they donated a boat because our boat had was leaking. We had to try to repair the leaks, and so they got us a new aluminum boat, which is working out very, very well. They also, Friends of Rye-Town Park, completed the installation of the new gate at the east central side of the pond. So we're always very grateful to the Friends because they work very closely with us, and either Frank's there or I'm there when we discuss these things, or both of us, and they're doing a great job. We've put in all the push-button showers up north and in the tunnels, and right now they're working exceptionally well. We haven't had to have repairs down there once this summer. All we had to do is replace a handle 2 or 3 times, I think it was. But other than that, they're working very well. Saved us a lot of money in repairs. Senior staff had extensive discussions at a recent meeting about a safe, handicapped accessible ramp at the middle beach entrance. Now that was put into this year's budget, and we're looking forward to completing that toward the end of the summer, which will have us prepared for next year. One of the discussions that was brought up was our middle booth there is made out of aluminum, and it gets 110, 120 degrees in there. We put an air conditioner in, and it helps the cashiers considerably, but not quite. So we're talking about, in the overall repair of that ramp and making it legal, because it's a little too steep, and I'm constantly worried about people slipping there. We're talking about putting a new, similar to the parking and the south and north part of the park, little building or facility, but as part of the overall repair of that area. Not very expensive, probably a good idea for entrance and exit, and the ramp would sort of get a little wider as you go onto the beach, and it would be a safe ramp. There was a large pear tree in front of Seaside Johnny's.
Chairman, before we move on.
Yes.
I mean, so what's not a lot of money? Because we approved the amount to do the ramp.
Yeah.
So the building, roughly, any idea you're going to cost that out for?
We're trying to cost that out,
Okay.
and the plan is to do that this fall, if we can get it done this fall. You can't do it during the season. It's a construction
Right.
project.
Right.
And that ramp, or that gate, is our primary gate. If you look at the revenue, it's like, 2/3 of the revenue comes through there.
But the idea would be within the scope of the allotted dollars?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it would.
And we are looking, just so you know, we're looking at an alternative of putting in, some sort of a composite ramp, like decking, for example, as opposed to trying to redo the whole thing in concrete. We're going to look at both prices and see, what's feasible. Again, we are going to try and stay within that 70,000.
Yeah, I have a sketch, by the way, Bishop, which Mark had put together, our in-house artist.
And the 70,000 was the entire capital?
That included the showers
And the ramp.
And the ramp.
I think 20,000 was dedicated to the ramp.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There was this beautiful pear tree that when one of our storms hit us, a large branch broke off. And so we conferred with our landscaping, who was it? Our arborist, Frazier, and he advised us that we had to take the entire tree down. That's the tree that was stood in front of Seaside Johnny's, and it was a beautiful tree, and now we're looking, and Friends of Rye-Town Park have suggested that they might be willing to pay for a replacement. As far as security and parking, we've begun keeping a log on all the unleashed dogs encountered by the rangers, and Bishop will have or has those results as we speak. Supervisor Nito and myself are we've developed a system of informing people that leave their car in there after midnight with phone numbers on who they could call, either at Seaside Johnny's or the Tiki Bar, which eliminates a hazardous situation. As you know, one car tried to force their way through our gates and actually broke the chain and lock. Another one drove down the side steps and got caught in the banister. So we came up with this temporary solution. The next solution that I would recommend to this board, if this doesn't work, is booting the cars that are in there. We already have someone that would do it at no cost to us and would be on the lot after hours to take the boot off the cars that are in there now. Now, I told Johnny Ambrose that if we weren't able to make the notice with the phone numbers work, I would recommend to the commission that we go with the boots. Now, that's a last-ditch effort, so we're trying our best. He put on each of his tiki zines, right, park closes at midnight, and he's supposed to make an announcement in both places, but I can't be there to hear it, so we're working on that. We only had 2 incidents, all of you are familiar with the 2 incidents we had with the Rye volunteer officials, which we spoke to the board about. We had a class on cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and a good number of our people took the class and learned about resuscitation and an automated external defibrillator. We had an incident where one man became unresponsive at the restaurant. Our staff administered first aid, and the EMT staff took him to the hospital. As far as cashiers, we had one major meltdown during the summer. Which,
that was for the machine, not the actual cashier, right?
Right.
All right, good.
Actually, there was a meltdown of the whole unit.
That was this time. Usually it's the cashier.
Well, they actually work in very hot circumstances. So our computer consultant came out to the park, worked out the problem. It's working now most of the time.
What does that mean, most of the time?
Well, I would say it's working good, close to 90% of the time, but we have requests from the cashiers for our guy, our in-house computer expert, Chris Morbido, to go out there and help restart it or wherever the problem is. And he's been able to do that. If he can't do that, he contacts our consultant. Our consultant can do it off premises. So we generally correct them within 15 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes. 4th of July numbers were great. Number of cars were up 58%, generating 3,400 more income over last year. The count on the beachgoers was down slightly due to the elimination of the evening beach access fee.
That's why. The numbers were up, but the beach numbers weren't up that much, yeah.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Total beach income was up 15,500. Overall income totaled over 35,000 for the 4th of July, which was a good boost for us because we had a few rainy days there. Parks attendance and income were up through July 15th, unlike Playland, whose numbers were down. For the month, resident permit sales were up 14, non-resident permits were down 7. Total of cars parked was up to 1,014 on the 4th of July. Daytime permit parking was up 1,690. That was offset by a decline of 2,500 in daytime non-resident parking. 752 cars came during the 3 to 6 discount period. The other good news is that fireworks night parking was up 1,214 cars. Now, when you get into those numbers, overall counted beach access was down about 8,369 people, with the largest drop being fireworks night, which went from 3,609 to 0 due to the elimination of the $2 non-permit holder charge that we used to charge. The number of actual, though unofficial, people on the beach was as high as ever. We had an increase of 1,865 non-resident beachgoers on July 4th, and the beach was entirely full on July 4th. Pavilion and barbecues are up 1,600. Lifeguards had some minor incidents, nothing to really talk about. 6 cases of lost parents or children, all were located. Well, what happens if you can't locate a child, then we go into code red and then we just shut everything down. But we didn't. We only had that maybe once or twice all year. So there were numerous minor injuries. There were 6 cases of lost. I said that. 1 feuding family was removed from the beach. 1 person had an asthma attack. I'll jump down to last 10 days of the month. Attendance was down. The Westchester County came in, inspected our beach. Everything, we passed muster. They basically told us that our beach is the cleanest beach on the Sound Shore.
All right, great job, Fred.
For the longest time. Okay, that's it? Is that what you're saying there?
No, I'm saying that's great. If Westchester County, right?
Yeah.
From the Bronx all the way up to Connecticut,
Sound Shore.
and is saying that our beach is the cleanest on the Sound Shore. That's why I clapped. That's great.
I thought you were trying to move
No, I wasn't being.
No, I thought you were trying to move it on.
No, I was being serious.
Yes.
We have a hook for that.
I feel very.
That's great.
I feel very good about it. And the other thing, the only thing they really complained about, we've already corrected because they have a new form which Bill worked on and Greg worked on, and we've completed that. So we're in sync with all the county requirements. I'll have Bill do the park development events and the signage rules. So, Bill?
That's great. Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mr. Gioffre.
Okay, thanks.
Good job.
I think you all have the copy of the July report, right? So I don't necessarily have to go through all the details of it, unless you have any questions about that. What I could do is give an update for what's been going on since then. But we have, as you know, a number of new programs that we've tried to get started this year. The one that seems to have done the best job of getting underway is this Tango by the Beach program, which started out at the end of May, and you remember Jill Dornick came in and got permission to do it, and she's up to over 20 participants per week, and fortunately the weather has worked out well, so I think only one of her Thursdays has gotten rained out. And Goldie, by the way, you mentioned we have no more concerts, but anytime Jill's going to be having Tango by the Beach every Thursday from 7 to 9:30, and they have music. So it's not live music, but it is music. So, and I know you say...
It's not under the pavilion.
No, it's up by the lifeguard station.
Goldie knows about
So
it.
we're ready in case anybody gets too hot to handle at the dancing, then we can give them the first aid treatment. So anyway, that's doing well, and we've gotten a lot of good publicity for that. The Monday Night Volleyball League, which is, as you know, is very, very popular, that they completed their summer season with a big party. It was, I guess, a week ago Monday, and so that was, as far as I know, it was a big success, right? Everybody was happy. So that was good, and as Goldie mentioned, the final Twilight Tuesday concert was last Tuesday, and I have to say I'm batting 7 for 7 when it comes to concerts. None of them got rained out this year. We didn't have to use either of the rain dates that we had scheduled. So this past Tuesday, even Goldie called me to find out, are we going to have it or not? And I said, we're going to stay the course, and it turned out the weather was good. So I can't take credit for the weather, but I can be thankful we had good weather. And as you can imagine, events at a park that are outdoors, obviously the weather is a big factor, as we know from the beach attendance and the parking and everything, and you just try to minimize our losses as best we can. And thanks to the Friends of Rye Town Park, for example, and the Carpet Trends of Rye, the outdoor movie that we had back in July, that was set up so that even if it had rained and we'd had to postpone it, all our costs were covered by the sponsor. And that's part of my goal, is to try to find more sponsors for all the things we do so we can minimize our losses when there's bad weather. So anyway, the other thing that you've heard about, and I'm sorry Joe Carvin isn't here because he did a great job of officiating over the renewal of vows at the Much Ado About Nothing, which was held on August 3rd, and I think he might have done it with one of the other parks too, I'm not sure, but he definitely did it for that one. And that was good. We had about 100 people there for that. It started at 5:45. They have to have them in the late afternoon because there's no lights for evening performances, but it went very well. It was a lot of fun. So let's see. We had tried to get started with a program for young children comparable to the boot camp by the beach, which is for adults. There was a woman who wanted to do a thing called Kid Fit, which would be Saturday morning physical fitness for kids to pop rock music. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for her so far, but we're not giving up on it. We're going to hopefully try it again. We have an artist who is a Rye resident, Tomoko Abe, who's been living in Rye for about 15 years, and she's a sculptor, and she's working on an exhibit specifically for the park that would open. Actually, she wants to have it in November, which is pretty much off-peak time to have an exhibit, and she understands that she has to be liable for the legal insurance issues and so on. And we also are planning another thing that's coming up is either the last Saturday in September or the first one in October. We're having our arborist, or actually not our arborist, but he works for Bartlett Tree Company that does a lot of work for the park. He's volunteered to do a free program on trees and urban trees and taking care of trees and what kind of trees to plant and what works well in Rye and what doesn't. So, and as Mayor French knows, the trees have been an issue of concern in Rye, so we're trying to provide some positive information about trees so that people realize how important they are to a community. So anyway, that's that. And then I think everybody is aware of the fact that the welcome signs were put up.
Yes.
And you all saw them, hopefully, in person.
Great.
So we've had a lot of positive comments about that, and I feel very good about it because I think as a person who goes to the park all the time, it's nice to have an upbeat, positive message when you go in. And let's see, the other thing that I'm working on now, along with, we have the sign committee that started working on those signs. We sort of put everything else on hold, but the other big issue that the Friends raised, and I think is important, is to have some, what they call locator map signs, similar to what you see at Playland and just about every park or nature preserve or any place. There's a "You Are Here" type sign that would show where you are and what, where the things are. I'm just going to show you the one that Playland uses. This is their locator map and key on the side. So you have a map. Now, it doesn't have to be this kind of a cartoonish. In fact, we're trying to come up with a style that's a little simpler than that, less complicated, but would actually show a little bit of the idea of what the buildings look like. And so this one is set up so that when you're coming into the park, it shows you, but I think they have 2 or 3 around the park too, so wherever you might be. And it's just another way of welcoming people and providing information, letting the public know that we want them to know where things are. And there aren't that many things to know about, so it shouldn't be too complicated, but we're getting close. But, people don't know this. I have people who come to the park and say, I never knew there was a North Beach entrance that I could go into the park. They always come from the south end, and they don't even realize that they could come in another way.
You never know.
So, in any case, that's what we're working on. Pardon?
Does it cost money?
Yes.
May I ask?
This? Yes. Well, unless you got an artist who can do it for nothing.
You know what I suggest?
What?
I suggest that we go after some of the local businesses, and around the perimeter of the map or something, they can
Some
sponsor
sponsors.
the.
Yes, that's a good idea, actually.
That's what they do with a lot of maps,
Once I get a quote, then we can go to them and say, this is
Yeah.
what it would cost. We have so many spaces and, and
Not
so
looking
much
to make
space.
money, just looking to have it paid
Cover
for.
the cost, yeah.
Good opportunity.
And the company, I think, there's a variety of potential ones, but this kind of is an idea of what it would look like. The one we're working on, at least our working model, would be 2-sided. This one shows a locator
I
map
thought you
on
said
it.
there wasn't that much to locate.
Well, this is not ours. This is, but I mean, this is just an example. This is where the
I was
locator
thinking
map would
something
be.
on a stick, to tell you the truth, but whatever.
Oh
you're
no!
the
Well,
doctor
you have to think about this. First aid stations. There's the
Yeah.
main bathrooms. There's the security office. There's the administration building, which has the permit office, it has the director's office and the cashier's office. You have, I could go on. There's the pond, there's the overflow parking.
Your recommendation.
Yeah, so there's a number of areas that we all take for granted, those of us who are at the park every day, but, if you go to a place, almost any amusement park, that you're not familiar with, you could spend a whole bunch of time just trying to figure out where the bathrooms are or something like that. So this would be doing that. And the thing is, the key to it would be that and I would strongly recommend that we spend the money to get this recycled plastic stuff that looks like wood, but it's not. And it's impervious, it's guaranteed for 50 years, and the Message Center itself would have a plexiglass lockable door so that you could protect against graffiti and damage. And so, these are the kind of specifications that we're looking for that. And let's see, I think those are the main things I was going to report.
Before Bishop, maybe I could just, one thing I left out is that,
Thank you, Bill.
in our biweekly senior staff meeting, we've been developing plans for cutting personnel back during the month of August, which we've been doing right along, and preparing for Labor Day. So we're adhering to the policy of the board of cutting personnel back as much as we can during the slower times of August. And the other thing is that, which I'm presenting to you now, is that after Labor Day, our plans are to, the weekend after Labor Day, to open up, to have parking and lifeguards that first weekend, weather permitting, and then the second weekend just parking without lifeguards. So that would be a parking fee and a beach entrance fee on the first weekend, and just a parking fee on the second weekend. It would save us money on the lifeguards. So that's a proposal that I would probably need your okay on.
Fred, why wouldn't you have a beach access fee regardless of whether the lifeguards are there or not? We went through this already. You don't need to have a lifeguard. You just have to post that there are no lifeguards. You can still collect the beach access fee as well.
Yeah, but I would think it
Doesn't
would
lessen anything.
Yeah, if so, it would have to be reduced because, it's on weekends it's like $25 to $15 and $10.
We did something last year on that. didn't we?
Postseason, we do reduce the
We have
beach fee.
reduced
5 and 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't
5
pay
and 5.
prime time after
No.
Labor Day, but then you'd have to assess your costs in certain just against the cost of the attendant, and you're really hedging on whether you're going to get the attendance right.
Yeah, you have to have maintenance there for the bathrooms. You need to have security there, and 5 and 5 is the number that we were zeroing in on. 5 to park, 5 for beach entrance.
That sounds reasonable.
And if lifeguards are there, it would be the first weekend.
We did weekends all the way through the end of the month last year.
Right? End of September.
We can produce that information for you, but my recollection is the labor versus revenue model did not work. I think I did a chart on that. And only one day did we actually break even, and just barely.
But are you at full tilt? Do you have like 3 people in the booths the way you do?
Oh, no.
It's just
I mean,
running
we
on
only
a
have
skeleton
two, for
crew,
example, we
right?
only have 2 booths operating.
Yeah.
We'll do the south booth in the morning, and the middle booth will be open all the time. South booth will close at noontime, thereabouts. But you'll have 5, 6, 8 lifeguards there, depending, because you're pretty
Half
much
a
running.
beach, that's
Yeah.
6 lifeguards.
Yeah.
Half a beach.
And security guards
Yeah,
and so forth. So you're bringing an entourage in when you start to open the beach and want to charge for the beach. We would leave the beach open and people would just get on for free, and then the only cost we have would be the trash collection costs. In other words, our guys would still have to clean the beach and take the trash away and stuff like that.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks again.
So, comments?
I guess Bishop.
Yep.
Well, can we comment on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
First of all, the facility looks great. The experience is great. I've been there a lot this summer, so congratulations to everybody, your senior staff and all the people that work there. If I had one picayune comment, sometimes when you pull up to the booth, it's still not clear what you're paying. I mean, sometimes the sign's not out there, so you don't know if it's $2 or whatever. So it just, You don't really know until you get up to the booth. So we should have better signage. When you drive up to the parking booth, you know what you're paying.
Yeah, so people can get it ready when they queue.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's picayune, but I've noticed it a few times. The signs look great, Bill. Different attitude in the park. The events are great. We should do more of them. I agree with Goldie. The movies, the concerts are all great. I agree with the recommendation you made last meeting. I think we do have a separate 4th of July fee, because I think it's proven that it's not the residents, it's everybody but the residents that generally go there. And I think we charge a huge premium for 4th of July, parking and beach access, because people will come. And I think that was your recommendation, right? And I think we will generate a lot more revenue for that one day. The data, we invested in the car counters. When are we going to see some data, whether it's a sample set of data or the full data?
I can send you the data, and in fact, we get a series of 5 reports. The problem is some of them are graphs, some of them are spreadsheets, and to integrate them is not the easiest thing in the world. They're disparate. They're reporting on disparate things. They are good, and what I would like to be able to do is I'll send you a week's worth of reports. It will be 7 separate emails, because it's 7 separate spreadsheets. It's each report has 5, or each day has a set of 5 reports in it. The problem is to try and synthesize it all and put it into something. We haven't gotten there yet.
All right. Well, instead of choking the board's email with that document, is there a way that you can pull out the highlights, or the true important data that we need?
No, actually, I'm saying just now. I want to sit inside the data a little bit. Even if it's a day's worth of data, I want to see what it looks like.
Well, I'll send you one complete set, which is you can open up at your leisure and you'll see them, along with a brief interpretation of each report.
But I also think it's important to see how that correlates. The reason we're doing it is to be able to make sure that we have some controls and to see how it correlates with the actual number of cars.
One of the reports will allow you to do that, and I think you'll be happy to see how that correlates.
With the actual numbers that we collect and that we count.
No, not with the collect. With the actual number of transactions.
Transactions.
Yeah, they're not all paid.
No, they're not.
Right.
When I say collect, I meant transactions.
So cars versus cars is basically.
Exactly.
We used that data to change a parking. In other words, instead of closing down parking at 6...
Fran, if you could just come to the microphone and help us out, thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
Instead of closing parking at 6, we made a decision, after looking at the data, that there were quite a few cars that came in between 6 and 9, so we decided that we would charge right up to 9 every night. And
it's been useful.
Yes.
That's how, just that way it's been useful. But, if you sent them a day, maybe a weekend day would be best.
Well, yeah, we'll
We'll
send you a day, and you can take a look at it. In the meantime, what I'd like to do is Paula Schaefer has volunteered to help us in terms of reviewing this data and see how we might be able to synthesize it into a meaningful report for the Commission.
Perfect.
Because it is a bit on the complex side.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
As a management tool, however, it has proven its value already.
May I ask a question? That changed from 6 to 9. When was that effective?
We started that maybe a month ago.
Did we discuss this? Refresh my
Maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, I remember 2 months ago.
Just refresh my recollection.
Terry came up and said
Terry,
that
yes.
she was going to start testing that because the data showed enough cars. We said,
What
fine.
Bishop's trying to say is that the data, there's 5 different graphs, and it can get a little complicated when you see cars coming in, cars going out.
Cars by hour.
Yes, cars by hour. That's where we
just see what
came
this
with the decision to go to 9 p.m. because we found that a lot of people are coming in after 6. More people are on the beach after 6 than during the day.
And that's logical. It makes sense.
So
we numbers, right?
we increased the hours. Terry and I discussed it. We increased the hours, and we made quite a few bucks, extra dollars.
And just to make sure people understand, this was not a change in policy or anything like that. There already was a rate structure in there. It's just that we were closing it early because we felt originally the amount of money you would spend on labor would not be covered by the amount of revenue you would get at $2 a car
So
or whatever.
it worked
the
out
price
well, and I
It
think that
did.
that was a
It
good
did. We picked
management
up.
decision to bring that to the board.
Well, that all goes back to Commissioner Salanitro when we discussed about trying to catch that group that comes in after 6 and just sits on the beach. And so we charge a parking fee, and we're able to pick up quite a few dollars doing that.
Very good.
So I have a few other things. The security, I have not gotten any complaints about, I mean, some years past they've been a little heavy-handed, they've been more amenable, more community relations focused. If an issue is raised to them, they'll say they're on top of it, they'll just see how things evolve. So good job by the security to be more community relations focused. The dog incidents, Bishop sent us the data when you have it.
I think I sent it already.
Yeah, you
It's
did.
a spreadsheet.
Was it like
There was a
email?
spreadsheet on...
It was in our packet.
1 week in July.
It was,
July
no, it was an
16th.
email that was sent.
Email.
separately.
Okay.
July
I'll-
16th.
When did that go out?
I'll send it again.
It was astonishing.
Yeah,
And
hundreds.
what was astonishing about it, it's interesting, just going to recall, I received an email the day before from a resident of Rybrook who goes to the park and had watched actually one of our meetings and was unclear about what the policy was. And he was advocating that dogs shouldn't be off leash at 9. I wrote back to him, and then I did a PS. Once we got this data to show that the infractions, really the majority of them were before 9 o'clock. Well, there's a reason. That's when you have a lot of dogs that are walked in any event. So what I'm saying is no matter what we've discussed publicly, no matter all the discussions, no matter the forums that take place in January, it doesn't make any difference because no one cares unless it's enforced. Period, exclamation.
Yeah, no teeth.
And
Very good.
Absolutely.
simple.
Don't even
So
laugh.
you know what? You can talk. I think we've talked more about dogs than anything else at this commission. And it's true. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an extra nuance in there. I looked at the data carefully. Yes, you're absolutely right. Before 9 o'clock is the preponderance, but you see a blip at
then
about
the
noontime.
and then
About
they give us
noontime
that-
when people come home and
and
walk
then
their
in the
dogs.
afternoon.
And then at 5 p.m.
Right.
when they come home and walk
Or
their
the dogs.
Well, there was one fella that consistently would go on the beach with his dog. And we called Rye PD, and they gave him summons. And he was back that night on the beach again. Now, I don't know the outcome of the summons, but
It's
it would
just
be
a
interesting.
disregard.
It would be
Disregard for
interesting to find out.
regulations.
It's. Let me just say this: Joe and I spoke to the Rangers. We've asked them to be as courteous as they can, because sometimes the clients at the beach get a little rowdy, but for the most part they behave themselves. We didn't have any problems with parking, more or less. Caroline was telling me there wasn't one car that went beyond the boundary, and we've kept good track to that. We've had a good safety throughout the season. We've kept complaints to a minimum. Now, I don't know what happens with the commission and your emails, but I generally get complaints by email, and we've kept them to a minimum. So I think we've carried out our responsibilities in a very courteous and careful way.
Okay.
Just
And
my-
I agree with the September plan. Weekend after Labor Day, parking and beach. I may even just shut it down the week after. It's your call if you think it's wanted for
Well,
parking.
again, a lot of it's going to be weather dependent.
Yep.
Well, I think you need a little flexibility. If all of a sudden you find out that the long-range forecast is that we're going to have 95-degree weather,
Right.
yeah,
We'll knock it out of
We
the
should
park.
be able to handle that in some
Right.
fashion. And we appreciate the flexibility. I do want to make one correction. In the management report on page 3, it says 5 Twilight Tuesday night concerts. There were 7 Twilight concerts. Okay, not 5. So I just want to make sure people understand. There were 7 concerts.
Yeah, and just to add to what Bill said, they were very well. We put out 80 chairs, and generally they're all filled, people standing around. We've gotten a good response to that. Those concerts are important. We understand that. They're important to us, and we try to make it work as best we can.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Anything else, Mayor French?
That's it.
Mayor Pilla, you had a question?
Yeah, actually, real quick, actually, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To Fred and Bill and Bishop and the entire team, I echo Mayor French's remarks. You guys are doing an outstanding job, actually, just maintaining the park and managing it.